insights, picks, results. This is Wizard Sports Picks. Beyond the Lines.
And welcome to another edition of Beyond the Lines presented by Wizard Sports Picks, Sunday, November 2030 in Cameron. Back with you, and we are here to talk NFL Week 12. We'll talk about a few of the games and give you some picks for the NFL action coming up on Sunday. But first, as always, want to remind you, check out wizardsportspicks.com, the great best roster of handicappers anywhere. Check out the website, Premium Picks Daily. We've got so many great handicappers in great runs in various sports right now. So make sure you check out all the talented handicappers on the website and check out the premium picks that are there on a daily basis in all kinds of different sports. We got everything going on, and this is a time to get on board. U.S. Thanksgiving week coming up, feast week, NFL, college football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, around the clock. Now's the time to invest in one of the great handicappers, any one of the great handicappers at Wizard Sports Picks, and try out some premium picks and get on board daily on the website at wizardsportspicks.com. All right, we went 2-1 on our Thursday video with the picks I gave you. We're going to talk about 3 NFL games for Sunday. In this video, we will begin with the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Tennessee Titans. We have Seattle 11.5-point road favorites, 40.5 the total in this game. When you look at this matchup, I think it is a very, very strong bounce back spot to back the Seattle Seahawks. You look at last week, the loss to the LA Rams. Yes, it was disappointing. And did Sam Darnold play poorly? You bet you did. He did. He was not very good. He threw 4 interceptions. It was his worst game of the season. And to be honest with you, that's sometimes what you can get from Sam Darnold when he steps up in class in big games against better defenses, because we have seen it repeatedly in the past from Sam Darnold. The one thing I do know about Sam Darnold is he's also shown the ability to bounce back, and he's also shown the ability to absolutely pick apart and light up and opposing defenses that are among the worst and the bottom tier defenses in the NFL. And I think he will do just that here against the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee has a miserable defense. I really don't give them much credit at all last week for their performance against Houston. First of all, they were coming off a bye week. Second of all, Houston's offense is definitely in shambles, struggling. Davis Mills has been inconsistent, decent at best. And the offensive line all season has had issues for Houston. They haven't been able to run the ball consistently. But before that, the Titans were getting absolutely ripped apart on defense. The Colts, put up 38 against them. The Patriots and Drake May put up 31 against them. The Chargers with a banged up offensive line the day they played the Titans. Even they scored 27 points against Tennessee. So I don't trust this defense, to be quite honest with you. I think Sam Darnold and the Seahawks offense has a bounce back performance. And then you look at the other side of the football. This Tennessee offense continues to have major problems. They can't move the football. They can't run the ball. Cam Ward is running for his life. He's not getting protection. They have very little to work with at receiver, even more pronounced now with Calvin Ridley and the broken leg injury that he suffered just after he came back as well. So it's just an absolute multitude of issues right now for the Tennessee offense. And now they're going up against a defense that's, to me, one of the better defenses in the NFL. And to think about how well they played last week, their quarterback threw 4 interceptions, and yet the Seattle defense hung in there, kept getting stops against Matthew Stafford and the Rams, and gave the Seahawks a chance to still win that game. I mean, Seattle had the ball in their hands with a chance to win the game, despite 4 interceptions from their quarterback. So you got to give that Seattle defense a lot of credit. I don't see Tennessee's offense doing much of anything against them. I'm not always a big fan of laying points, big points on the road, but I'll make an exception here. I'll take Seattle minus 11.5 against Tennessee. And not only that, I'm going to give you a second pick on this game. I'm also taking Seattle team total over 26.5. You can find that at a multitude of different sports books. Shop around. 26.5 is the best number currently with the Seattle team total. I do think they can get 27 or more points in this game. Tennessee team that on their home field already this year has allowed 31 to New England in a home loss, 41 to Indianapolis in a home loss, and 33 to the LA Rams in a home loss. I definitely think Seattle is capable of going over their team total. So Seattle minus 11.5 and Seattle team total over 26.5 against the Tennessee Titans. All right, the second game we're going to talk about for Sunday, the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Jacksonville 2.5 point road favorites, 47.5 the total here in this game. This is another game where I'm going to give you not just one pick, but two picks here in this game. I'm going to make a case to take Jacksonville. They're currently minus 2.5 in this game, laying just slightly less than a field goal. Jacksonville obviously back on track last week with a convincing, dominant blowout win against the LA Chargers. Now, the LA Chargers were traveling all the way down to Florida for that game, and the Chargers have issues on the offensive line and major injuries. Nevertheless, Jacksonville, it was a much better game, one they needed, and one they played very well on both sides of the football from start to finish in that victory against the Chargers last week, 35-6. Trevor Lawrence was better throwing the football in that game without question. 153 through the air. They got had a good enough run game. Obviously, they forced the Chargers into a lot of mistakes in that game. Justin Herbert was ineffective. One interception was then replaced late in the game because it turned into a blowout, and there was really no run game to speak of for the Chargers in that game. So you have to give Jacksonville a lot of credit for the way they played in that game. And to me, this is a game you got to have. Arizona's season is crumbling. Jonathan Gannon's on the hot seat. Their defense is it wasn't very good when it was healthy. And now the injuries are just decimating this defense right now for Arizona. They've suffered a cluster injuries left and right, multiple position groups in this defense, and the result, you're clearly seeing it. 44 points given up to Seattle 2 weeks ago, and then 41 points last week in a loss to San Francisco. And if you'll remember on last Sunday's video, I recommended San Francisco as a small road favorite in Arizona, and that was an easy win with that. And in this game, I'm going right back to the well, fading this Arizona Cardinals team. I think this is a winnable game for Jacksonville, the better team. The price is cheap. I'm going to go with Jacksonville here, minus 2.5 against Arizona. And I'm also going to recommend over 47.5. Arizona is just a stone cold over team right now. I mean, just look at the last two games. They gave up 44 to Seattle and 41 to San Francisco. So that tells you all you need to know. I mean, those two teams they got into the 40s all by themselves. So I think Jacksonville's offense can thrive here against a banged up, struggling Arizona defense. That being said, Jacksonville, the one thing I'll say about Arizona is they have scored 22 points each of the last two games, and Jacoby Brissett, he continues to show he's a gunslinger. He will just throw the football, and he had 452 passing yards last week against San Francisco. And he can still make plays. He still is capable of doing that. So I think Arizona at home can chip in some offense as well. And that game can get up and over. So Jacksonville minus 2.5 and the over 47.5 in that game between the Jacksonville Jaguars and Arizona Cardinals. All right, the final game of this edition of Beyond the Lines, Cleveland Browns, Las Vegas Raiders. Las Vegas, 4-point home favorites. 36 the total in this game. Yes, the line has moved throughout the course of the week. Las Vegas was laying less than a field goal early in the week. Now they're laying 3.5, 4. And I'm going against that move. And I'm very happy to do it because I think the Las Vegas Raiders are a horrendous football team. We saw what happened against the Dallas Cowboys on Monday night. It was a pathetic, inept performance from the Raiders on their home field, really on both sides of the football against a team like, let's be honest here, Dallas, not a bunch of world beaters, and the Raiders made them look like it. The Raiders were just atrocious. I mean, Geno Smith in that game, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. They couldn't get anything going on the ground for Ashton Genty. That continues to be a problem. Ashton Genty is not so far at the NFL level able to show the ability that he has running the football. I don't think it's his fault. Certainly, could he be better? Yes. This is just an atrocious offensive line. Seriously, this is one of the worst offensive lines I've seen in the NFL in recent memory. I'd have to go back and do a deep dive to say if it's the worst. It's one of the worst. There's nothing they do well. Geno Smith is under constant pressure. There's no run blocking whatsoever to open up holes for Genty. And of course, to make matters worse, the receiving core is lackluster. You got Tyler Lockett with his best days behind him. I think they got a little something in Trey Tucker, and really it's just Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer, the two tight ends. I mean, there's just not much to work with in the passing game as far as weapons for Geno Smith at this point in time either. So it's just a ton of issues for this offense. It's having problems. The defense, I'll cut it a little bit more slack. I think the defense hasn't been nearly as bad, but boy, oh boy, I think what's hurt this defense, especially the games where they've given up points, it's just they're constantly going 3 and out on offense, and eventually good offenses and quarterbacks are going to wear down this defense, and we've seen it. The Kansas City game where Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs shut out the Raiders 31-0. The Jacksonville game, where they just got worn down late, and Trevor Lawrence and the Jags beat them and put 30 points on the board. Last week against Dallas, same thing. They just got worn down because they're on the field so much. That's been the constant issue for the Raiders. Now, Cleveland's got issues of their own. We all know that. Certainly the Cleveland Browns, and on the road, they've had some real issues defensively, but this is a manageable matchup for the Cleveland defense. It's obviously a defense that's certainly capable of playing well, and I think they've got the potential to do that here. Now, Shedeur Sanders, of course, is going to get the start here, and look, he came into action after Dylan Gabriel suffered the concussion against Baltimore last week. Wasn't impressive, I will say that, and I think that's part of the reason why the Raiders got some betting love early in the week. People want to fade Shedeur Sanders here in his first official NFL start. Not to mention the Browns aren't anything to write home about. They're 1-6 straight up their last 7 games. But the problem is the Raiders are worse. 1-8 straight up and 2-7 against the spread their last 9 games. So this is an ugly game with two bad teams. I still say Cleveland with Quinshon Judkins running the football can take some pressure off Shedeur, keep him in manageable down and distance situations. This is just more so with what I've seen out of the Las Vegas Raiders. I can't envision them being able at this point in time to beat any NFL football team by more than a field goal. I just don't see how they can do it with what we have seen from this team all season, and especially this past Monday night. And that's another negative for the Raiders in this game. A short week for them after playing Monday night. I know they don't have to travel. It's the second straight home game, but still not an advantageous spot. And I have no faith at all in the Raiders to win this game by any sort of margin. I will take the Cleveland Browns +4 against the Las Vegas Raiders for my final pick for this edition of Beyond the Lines. That's a wrap for this edition of Beyond the Lines. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button on the way out. Again, get to the website. Check out all the great handicappers at wizardsportspicks.com. I'm Ian Cameron. Enjoy NFL Week 12 and all the Sunday action, and good luck. And thanks for tuning in to another edition of Beyond the Lines for Sunday, November 23rd, presented by Wizard Sports Picks.